You can think of code overtime as a sort of software engineering internship or a job simulator for software engineers. Basically, the idea is that there is a real, actual, fully functioning production-ready software project that you can work on to gain the skills that you need to actually be successful as a software engineer. CoT Overtime is primarily for beginner to intermediate level programmers who are basically looking to move beyond coding tutorials and building basic applications. So when you start out coding, usually what you'll do is you'll write small bits of code to solve very specific problems. Over time, you'll branch out and you'll build bigger and bigger projects, but you'll never really reach the scale of a project that you will work on in the real world, not unless you have some personal project that you actually release to the world. So CoT Overtime aims to provide an environment where you get to experience what it's like to actually work on a real software project. Now, it's a little bit more structured. It's not exactly like it would be in the real world, but it's designed to be more approachable for beginner to intermediate level programmers. But it's not just for beginners and people that are new to the world of software engineering. If you're a front-end engineer with some experience who's interested in learning a bit more about back-end engineering, well then this might be useful for you as well. You can go and you can experience what it's like to do some server-side development. And the same goes for server engineers that want to experience front-end development. Or maybe you're interested in doing some networking or graphics programming. Again, CoT Overtime will give you the opportunity to work in these spaces where maybe you are not too familiar. And if you're like me, you like learning by doing, then CoT Overtime gives you the opportunity to jump in and just start doing something so that you can explore this technology that maybe you're not actually familiar with already. So I've mentioned several times that you'll be working on a real world project. That project is called Varcade Games. You can think of Varcade Games as a kind of Netflix for browser games. The idea is that you've got a website. The website houses games that you can play from within your browser. It's actually a fully functioning website that you can dynamically populate with games, so games are plugged into the website. The website also provides games with a built-in matchmaker, built-in stats tracking for things like leaderboards, and also provides some administration tooling so that you can manage the website. There is also one complete playable multiplayer game housed within the project called Rock, Paper, Scissors Apocalypse. This is a very simple 2D fighter style game that basically is an implementation of Rock, Paper, Scissors. It can be played in single player as a story mode, and it can be played in multiplayer online versus other players. Now, it's important to state that this is not a game development course as such. The reason I went with a game portal plus a very simple 2D game is because of the breadth of topics that allows us to explore. So in building the website, you can explore web technology and CSS and JavaScript and all that sort of stuff. But there also needs to be a backend. So for that, we're going to use Python and Django. And behind that, there is a database which you need for storing all of this data. Within the game, then, you've got 2D graphics. We've got kind of a lower level way of laying out visual artifacts within software. There's also real-time networking because there's a game server. And then we have things like, how do you actually manage game assets, things like art and audio and that sort of thing. So by having a online game portal plus a game plus some functionality within the portal like a matchmaker and stats tracking and leaderboards, you actually cover a really, really wide variety of different technical topics and different technical challenges that you might face in the real world. As I kind of alluded to already, the reason that I went with this project of Varcade Games is because you will learn full stack engineering. There is front-end development, there is back-end development, there is some graphics development, there is some networking, there's also kind of tooling, developer tooling, that sort of thing, automated testing, load testing, monitoring, basically everything you'd expect to find on a real-world project, and in some cases more. Over the course of nearly 2 decades in the software industry, working on mobile apps in the travel industry, working on developer tools, and working on games, I've found one thing to be consistently true, and that is junior engineers that are new to the industry tend to find it very overwhelming jumping onto a full-scale project for the first time. I've also found that both juniors and more senior people that are changing job tend to experience this kind of explosive period of growth whenever they jump onto a new project. It's like the act of exploring a project and learning how it works and how everything connects together and how the wider system works is a really valuable educational experience. And that's what Code Over Time aims to simulate. By jumping on and working on a real project, the hope is that you will experience a similar explosion in growth, which may be uncomfortable at times and may be challenging and difficult at times, but we tend to experience the most growth when we're faced with some sort of challenge. There is a quote from Merlin, who is a wizard in the book The Sword and the Stone, that I really like, that I think kind of sums up this. What he says is, education is experience, and the essence of experience is self-reliance. And the idea is that when you are thrown into the deep end and you have to experience something yourself and you have to learn and figure out how to deal with it, you are forced to adapt, and it becomes a great learning process. First of all, the project is free and open source, so you can head over to GitHub right now, you can fork the project and you can pull it down onto your machine. There's a wiki with all details on how to set up the project, stuff about the architecture and the design and all that sort of stuff is all there within the wiki. Also in the discussion section on GitHub, there are a bunch of tasks that are ordered from junior to intermediate to senior that basically guide you through how to actually work on the project through tasks that are laid out in escalating difficulty. There's also a Discord channel that you can join where I will hang out and various other people that are, learning from Code Over Time and Varcade Games. So you can go there and ask questions and get support. And of course, you can also subscribe to this YouTube channel where I have a bunch of videos, tutorials on how to get set up, videos that run through the project, and there'll be many, many more videos to come where we'll just do fun software engineering things.